this this cohort will always exist. And so, how do you create a structure that ultimately provides a sort of a better north star, to lack of a better term, that gives people something to strive for? Because I think ultimately, inextricably, someone mentioned rap music is being terrible. I would actually agree,
Yeah.
but I would also point out that rap music is listened to by everyone, and it doesn't derange other groups in the way that it deranges our people. And I would,
Hmm.
and my hypothesis would be, is because we identify it culturally. We believe that this is some sort of in that is part and parcel with being African American. I don't necessarily believe that to be the case. I never lived in Bed-Stuy. I don't know what that means. I thought it was a bed and it has someone had a sty in their eye. I have no way of knowing what that meant. Correct. But how many times do I have to hear someone from Bed-Stuy is poor? Like, to me, it's like, no shit. I know you're poor. I mean, you told me the
Right.
first time. The 4,000th time, it appears that you guys are all poor, which makes sense since you're living in some sort of housing. Uh, so I get away from that riff for a second. But so how do you sort of inverse and create a sort of structure that says this now group of people, let's say,
Hmm.
this panel of men,
Right.
they become the sort of strata, the sort of influence that people are sort of striving for, versus what I think is happening today to some extent, where ultimately we're always sort of chasing the notion that twerking is African American and not doing math is white, correct? So you have this sort of inability to sort of balance this notions of blackness is almost inextricably tethered to nonsense that's from our own selves, and anything that is remotely like tethered to something healthy is white supremacy, correct? How do you shift that mindset?
Gotcha. The same way we created it in the first place. Marketing. Marketing. It's just as simple. The issue is that, and at the expense of sounding racist, but I'm not, the people who control media are not Anglo-Saxon white people. They're Jewish. They're the ones who market off of our pain and keeping us in the situation we were in. In fact, during slavery times, Jewish, as far as private owners, Jewish owned 90% of the slaves. Yeah, yeah, that's who Mr. Charlie was. The Jews, the Hebrews. Fact, by the way. But anyway, marketing. You see the twerking on the television. You see it in the music videos. It's glorified. It's glamorized. It's in your face. We're told that this is good music. Like, if you look at hip hop, since you brought up rap, the Ghetto Boys, you had even NWA, you had all these gangster rappers who wanted to shift from gangster rap and make positive music. But the music executives, who were Jewish, said, no, if you make that album, we're not going to publish it. And they did it anyway. They made positive music and tried to get and say, okay, we owe you 5 albums on our contract. Here's an album on that contract. That doesn't count, they were told. And I mean, it ain't just 4 or 5 groups or artists. Tons of black artists in the 80s and the 90s made positive music that we will never hear because the music executives didn't want to sell that. So it begins when but again, everything's independent now. The music industry has been torn apart. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's going independent. So they're free to make their own music. So they're going to go what makes the most money. What's traditionally made more money? The bullshit. So they're going to peddle bullshit. Again, it's like I told people, Grant, we don't have to blame the white man anymore. The Willie Lynch letter, whether you believe Willie Lynch is a real person or not, is irrelevant. It worked. It worked like gangbusters to the point now where there is nobody pulling the strings. We're doing it to ourselves. We're on autopilot. We're doing it for them. And it's because it makes us feel good. We like it. And we adopt that stuff as culture. Why would you want that as culture? I understand in the 90s, you could relate to the music, the pain that came from the rappers and things like that. But again, we'll never hear the positive music that they made. Record execs wouldn't let them make it. So we only got one part of it. We never got the way they climbed out of that. We never got any of that. Because think about how many success stories you heard from actors and other people. It should be cool to be a scientist. I always wanted, if I could travel out of space as a kid, I'd do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought it was cool to be like lightsabers. Science fiction was my shit, dude. I mean, I wanted to do samurais and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But I was a weirdo in my neighborhood because I grew up in a black neighborhood. I went to school with white kids across town, but I grew up in a black neighborhood. But I was a weirdo in school, you know. I was a weirdo in school with the white kids because I'm black and I'm into science fiction and karate and all that stuff. Black kids, same thing. But because I went to school with white kids and I talk like this.
So Mandrell,
I gotta ask you guys a question because I haven't even said anything since I came up here. And let me ask you guys this question. How many of you here are going to go to Africa and invest this money?
Oh, I'm never going back to Africa. You can have the whole fucked up continent. You can have
No. I asked a simple question and I need a simple answer.
I gave you my answer as direct as I possibly could, dude.
No,
and respect as respectfully as I can.
Mandreg, hold on. I got you. That answer is given. The rest of you have not. The rest of 8 of you haven't gotten any answer.
I mean, I don't.
I'm not.
Well,
listen, I have the solution, man, and
I'm not going.
No.
Simpler. It's simpler than we're making it.
I'm still the one talking, right? I'm just asking you guys question. Answer me because I'm not done yet. I'll give you guys back the microphone. How many of you will?
I'm still exploring my option, and I will admit Africa is an option right now. I just have to look more into it.
Why would you do that? Here's the thing, Ikene. Your culture pushes education. Your culture makes it cool to be a success. That's what I said.
Let's see where he's going. Hold on. Andrea, let's see where he's going with it. Let's see where he's going with it.
You guys don't know where I'm going. I'm just asking a question. Just
let's just see where he's going with it. I told him I'm not going.
That's the reason why we as black people can have conversation. But okay, you just So only one person.
We're gonna answer it. Lost, what's your answer?
For what?
Are you gonna go back to Africa and invest some money?
And invest.
No. To be honest, I'm gonna put it like this. There are parts of Africa that interest me, and I'm gonna tell you why. They doing some big things over there. I'm gonna tell you one of the things I've seen is that they're starting to refine their own gold over there, and I'm gonna tell you why.
What do you mean starting? They've been doing
because no, they haven't. They've been shipping that stuff.
They give it away to the Chinese and the British.
No. They've been shipping that stuff to Europe to refine, and Europe has been getting their cut.
No, not a minute.
You know what I'm saying? So now they're refining. They're breaking ground their own gold refineries. I think it's in Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken.
Still getting that cut. Oh God, Nigeria.
Yeah. They're starting to keep more of their money. So I pay attention to other.
Their leadership is so shit. Their leadership is so shit that they're not. The citizens of Nigeria will never.
I don't know about that, brother.
I know.
I don't know about that. I'm telling you.
That's Africa's biggest problem. Leadership. It's the leadership.
We gotta
get okay. Let me go.
Let's ask somebody from Africa.
I asked a question. All you guys got to do is just say yes or no. That's all I need.
Yeah. Well, my answer is no. I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet and let everybody else answer.
What's your answer, Bravado?
I had stepped away for a second. The Africa question?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I ain't doing that.
Okay.
Grant?
I mean, I would. I think Somalia is an emerging market. I think Nigeria as well. I think there's a ton of things that could happen. But I mean, I'm not an expert, but I think there are some significant things that are happening.
Mr.
Sierra
Penn?
Leone.
Yeah,
think about places.
I don't mind looking into it. I don't know if I'll get there in terms of actually investing, but I mean, there's a lot of resources in Africa that can't be denied. But the countries have given it away to the white man, for the most part. So if that's changing, then
okay,
and the Chinese, by the way, and America.
Okay, Mr.
I'll leave it at
that. Mr. Prototype.
I mean, I'm not opposed, but it's not on my to-do list.
Okay, Mr. Bennett.
No, Mr. Bennett is working.
Yeah.
Mr. Trey.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would. I just have to understand a little bit more what's going on in the parts of the country. Then, yeah, if I found some good investment opportunities, no doubt.
Lost in translation.
You already know I'm looking into it, man. I do my research, and I'm just go by what somebody say. I do my own research, and they've
JT
turning the corner, man.
Okay, Mr. JT.
I said no.
Well,
and just because I want
to know why that. What's the question?
Okay.
I like the intel. So
the reason why I asked all of you this question is this. The divergence of answer that I got from here, or maybe the 50-50 answer, I think most people, most of us, like 60% here say they would, about 40% say they wouldn't. That is the problem in the Black community. The average Black man in America doesn't travel past 1,000 miles of his house. And if you go below that, just a little bit below that, it drops down to 50 miles of his house. 50 miles of his house. Somebody that doesn't, no, I'm heading somewhere. Somebody that travels 8,000 miles has far more knowledge than somebody that goes only 1,000 miles. Am I correct? The reason why I say 1,000 miles is when you add all the Caribbean countries, all the Caribbeans, right? Jamaica, all these things, right? That's why I said 1,000 miles. Even California, to some people live in the United States, they've never been to California. And California to some is 3,000 miles, so to some is 2,000, to some is only 500. So the reason why I'm saying this is this. A Jewish man will leave his place of birth and travel 10,000 miles to go take gold from the dungeons of the dungeons on this earth. And live in that dungeons, right? And plant his own seed there and make his family there and become the wealthiest person on earth. An African man will leave his luxury home in Nigeria and come to United States and take the goods of United States and take it back to Nigeria. A white man will leave his mountain or his mansion in London and go to Congo and dig for gold and take it back to where? To Congo. Until we as a people, I'm not just saying just in America here, until we as a people start seeing everything from the lens of business, right? We're not going to succeed, because every day a Black man comes on YouTube and calls a Black woman all the names he has to call a Black woman. She's not loyal. She's not subordinate. She doesn't listen to me. She doesn't do this. But what have you done? Almost nothing. But you can criticize the Black woman for not being there. But I got to tell you one thing. He who has resource, right, controls the mind of everybody around him. When you start making money, that Black woman will start respecting you. America, if America doesn't give you what you want, go somewhere else and go get it. You see what I'm saying? If America can't give you what you want, go somewhere else. Just like you're telling men to get their passport and run, get your passport and go get that money somewhere else. I left 8,000 miles for here, right? But today, I didn't just leave 8,000 miles for here. Now I go back and forth 8,000 miles, 2-3 times a year. And you know what I do? I do a whole lot. I have a lot of investment. The reason why I come to this place right here is so that we can all talk. I just want to see in the next 10 years, I want to see over 1,000 Black billionaires. That's what I want to see.
Look, man.
With respect, you can
receive.
Hold on.
You can talk to Black David about my, and I can tell you myself off camera, my issue with Africa. All right, it's legit. It's legit, but it's a personal thing. All right, I ain't going back to Africa. Not one country over there. You can have it.
But that's not it's not the problem.
No, Manjo, we know about it.
Hold on. Prototype. Prototype, we let Ikene get in there, so Prototype can
Prototype. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Prototype. So he's in there.
Yeah, I'm good on Africa.
So listen, man, he's making it about business, and it's really not, man. And if your eyes are wide open, you can see what the attack is, and it's on the family. We're not coming together because we don't have nuclear families. What are we? 72% single parent homes. That's the attack, and y'all so bent over business, talking about money. No, it's not about money at all. It's about family. And in the moment we get family together, then we can start talking about the rest of business and bringing back the resources and making this move and the investments. But until we get family, none of this is going to work. People are so focused on divesting and going somewhere else and starting your seed over here, and there is no good women here. Like we're so busy keeping the family apart. But that's the only thing that's going to put things together. That's the only way we're not going to be last on a monopoly board. That's the only way. Without that, we have nothing, and we can make as much money as we can. It ain't going to mean scrap until we get our families together. You know what I'm saying? So you're over here talking about a man that traveled 10,000 miles, blah 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 blah. That's nothing. Get your family together. You know what I'm saying? And hold that down. You know, and then the rest will come together. You know what I'm saying? That's even biblical. You take over an area based on creating your family and spreading. That's how you take over a nation, by creating a family and spreading. As long as we're apart, ain't nothing going to work. Don't matter how much money we're floating around, we're just going to give it away. Period. So get your family, and then the rest will come to life.
So I think Ikene, I hope I pronounce it. I think Ikene was making a point. I'm as far as I've seen, Ikene has been.
Hold on for a minute, Grant. Hey, somebody got to mute because we got some background, y'all. Everybody mute while Grant is talking.
I think what Ikene was trying to point out, and I think he's very family oriented. I think he talks about that frequently, is that having some economic power is quite freeing. It kind of masks over problems. The reality is we already have the number of people kids who don't have double parent homes, correct? You can't set out an edict that tells people who are not together to get together. So just from a structural problem, we just have that one big structural problem. You can't coerce people into doing things they haven't done, and that would be problematic. And I think I'm hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn for Ikene, is how do you create this notion of family that isn't just your husband to wife, wife to child, that when you think about, generally speaking, most people use Jewish sort of example, the money is just there, correct? They have this mechanism that if I don't know you as a next Jewish person, I can still go to you, and correct? And that extension allows for the sort of ability to sort of have this sort of financial freedom. The thing that causes our biggest problem is our lack of wealth. It isn't the fact that we have families, that we don't have families. That's going to exist no matter what, and it's going to be exacerbated by the lack of access to wealth. So I will point you to one thing. Black Americans do not have the worst rate of single parent homes or out of wedlock in the world. And in Western world, hold on, in Western worlds, and I'll send you all the data. I'm going to make a point, and you can most certainly go search it. I'm going to point out why economic structures ultimately sort of glosses over those problems. As a matter of fact, they over time fix them. You can take small economies and make them better. So you can take a struggling country that has tons of poverty, tons of sort of issues with families, and the moment that country becomes more economic stable, what you tend to find is that the families tend to be more stable because they don't have all this friction of lack of wealth. But let's stick with just Western countries that actually have high rates. So a lot of European countries have that, but the one thing that they have is wealth. And the wealth is the thing that allows for their kids to not grow up in a world in which they don't have access to schooling, they don't have access to good food and nutritious food and exercise, etc. The moment we get out of the fact that we are raising children who are maladjusted on sugar, high fructose, etc., that these kids are not growing up in a way that makes them mentally able to sort of craft the world around them. The moment you don't think about the world being just within those four corners, you begin to see the world vastly differently. And we know you tend to end up having better relationships with the people who are closer to you, and you're able to have relationships with people you don't know, because ultimately you have the resources, both mentally and obviously monetarily, in order to sort of have those exchanges. And so I don't disagree with you saying that you need to have some ability to have young boys have their fathers and young girls have their fathers, etc. Those are important, but we can't get away from the fact that they already exist. We can't snap our fingers as if they go away. And so how do you mitigate those things going forward? I would say financially would be, or economically would be the best way.
I see what you're saying, and the answer to that is it's not a solution that we can fix right now. It's an over time thing. You know what I'm saying? It's us teaching our boys and our daughters, hey, don't, get married, have a family. It's reestablishing those. It's not we fixing this today. We're not going to fix it today. We've been broken for too many years. It's like losing weight, right? You put on all this time, eating bad. You're not going to get a 6-pack in 30 days. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what you're asking for, and that's what's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take generations of building family upon family upon family, teaching resources and skills and trades to our sons, you know what I mean? Teaching them what we do. It's going to take years of that, generations of that. And then things will, be the other way. But it's not going to be a quick fix, man. We've been broke too far long.
So, Brother Prototype, based on what Mandrell was saying, that I believe you all may have different perspectives. He said that there's really no fix for this problem that we're in right now. Do you believe that there's a fix based on what you just stated regarding the families and trying to get us back together at some point?
That's the fix, right? That's the fix. It's just getting our families together. And like I said, it's a small group of us now. But if I work, and then if Loss work, and make sure his kids is right, eventually over time we'll have more families than we need to finally make an impact. Right. It's just like I said, it's just not going to be a 30-day you got abs. It's not going to be that way.
Grant, you're saying about the economics, and I believe in Prototype, what he's stating is that in order for us to build that economic, sustainability that we need for our communities, the groundwork is the family. Because at one point we had that within our communities. We had the family dynamic with nothing coming from. We didn't get our 40 acres and a mule. We took a couple of broken down wagons and fixed them up and made them, and we built that wealth in our. And it wasn't. And we saw the demonstration in Oklahoma, but that was just one piece, and it was growing. And that's why they had to sort of do that. They took that away. And you say economic wealth. Who's going to give it to a black man in America besides the black man himself? We talk about, they're not going to say, okay, brothers, here's $2 million for every black man that was born in America. We got you in your census, your grandpa. Okay, you're going to get that. They're not going to do that. So the easiest way is to generate that, because if there's a husband, a wife, and children, all of that income is coming to the home. They're sitting down. The husband is going to dissect what we need first, and then we're going to spread everything out. Everybody's going to eat the same food. Everybody's going to get the same. We're going to go shopping on the same day. Everybody's getting the same price. That's what man build. That's how they're going to do it. But if we think that an entity outside of us, because that same entity does everything to alleviate our voice, and you hear it in the music. You hear how they say women rally against us. The women are not just doing this on their own. But I do believe this. And we talked about, and we said, so I think somebody mentioned, right now, going into this election, right now, going into this next 20, 30 years of our time, when they already said the black wealth would be at zero at 2050, we going on 25 years. Right now will be the greatest time, regardless. I don't care how old you are, what light skinned you are, dark skinned, you got big lips, wide feet, big bald head like me. We got to stand in the line together and say, we need this. We want this. And y'all say it seems like y'all come back to what I say. When I say forget the women, to the men, I'm not saying forget the women. What I'm saying is focus on building who you are and finding your space in the world and go from that. And you will be able to build a family. You will be able to have generational, well, not even generational, you can start that dialogue. You can start that process of building that wealth. But if I'm talking to an 18,
family, you can't build a family without women if you're a man.
But what I'm saying,
no doubt.
The basis of everything is family, which we could agree on. You got to have willing participants to build families.
But we have daughters.
Even if you have money and you're on your square, you have to have willing participants to build families. It's just you just can't just say I'm So it depends on what you're willing to marry.
I gotta interject. There is some.
Hold on. I wanna tie this in because I don't want anybody's point to get misconstrued. So what Ikene was talking about was an international way approach, right? What Grant was talking about was a national approach. Prototype was talking about a local community approach.
Yeah,
he was talking about all three of those are very, very pertinent. My question would be, what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Family. Family comes first.
Well, no, you might have to.
All that other stuff doesn't matter without the family first. Like we having babies, right? We're not short of babies. We having babies. Stop having these babies out of wedlock. Step one.
Yeah, but you can't change that cohort of people. So we can use.
You can change yours. I'm not telling you to change the people.
Let's use Nigerians.
Now I'm saying change yours.
Totally. This is a panel of men who already, I'm assuming, already do that. Correct. So we're not talking to a group of people on which we're trying to change their behavior. The assumption is, and you can correct me, everyone here seems well-adjusted, have good money, jobs, educated, etc. So there's no way for me to believe anyone out here has have 4 baby mamas and is on a run from child support. So the assumption is everyone here is good, correct? But what I'm pointing out here is you can take a great example, which are Nigerians, in which in Nigeria, we consider Nigerians here in America to be industrious. They have high rates of employment, correct? All the metrics, they exceed. Okay. But what it does, it still leaves a whole host of people in Nigeria who have not attained that. And yet you have at least a layer of Nigerians who are looking at Nigerians who are succeeding and saying, this is the achievement level. Correct. And so you're dragging people along because you're setting this sort of this piece up here. Generally speaking, I'm being broad in my notion. But my point is, if we were to take all Nigerians, the current state of Nigeria and Nigerians in the United States, they would have worse outcomes. We just look at GDP, et cetera. But is it fair to say Nigerians are not succeeding because this collective cohort, given sort of certain scenarios, colonialism, etc., that is indicative of what they aren't or aren't doing? But my point being is, if you can somehow solve the problem of the top end, you can then begin to drag people along with you to that top end. What we're trying to get is every boat to rise at the same time, which is relatively hard to do. You have to compel a lot of people to do things that they already have demonstrated that they can't do. And so the point is, you're boiling the ocean when you just need to make a bubble bath. Like there really isn't a reason to have this compulsory notion when there are enough examples that sort of showcase that you can sort of staircase this way forward versus trying to get everyone to be compelled by some sort of idea of just saying you're going to be in a family, because you can't do that. I mean, we have to be realistic about these things.
Why is making a family so that much more difficult?
They're not in a family now. What's make them?
Before you answer this, no. Grant, before you answer this, I want to say something real quick. In Nigeria, right, we have different tribes, but we have the two richest tribes in Nigeria, which is the Yorubas and the Igbos, right?
Correct.
What we normally do basically is this, right? We go out and obtain stability before we bring a woman into it. The reason why, because my understanding of the culture, no, not the culture, I'm sorry, this is not African American culture. My understanding of the contemporary attitude in Black communities, these kids get pregnant or impregnate somebody at the age of 17. So they already started struggling. They're not
You
supposed
breaking
to
up
be
real bad.
struggling. They're supposed to. You guys hear me now?
You're still breaking up.
Can you guys hear me better?
Yeah.
It's getting
That
better
sounded
now.
Yeah, finally.
Is it good now?
The African
Okay.
internet.
Yeah, we
Keep
he's
going,
frozen,
man.
man. He's frozen.
That is.
So what I,
He got the African internet.
Yeah.
so yeah, so what I'm
Said
trying to say, what
YouTube.
I'm trying to say is this, right? You don't want to find struggling. You want
It sounds like
breaking
you
up
popping
again.
popcorn over there.
Your internet's 8,000. Your internet's 8,000 miles
Is
away.
that Swahili? Is that Swahili?
Get that Swahili.
I
out.
don't think it's
Stop, boy.
my
You gotta
Got
stop.
that Swahili internet.
I don't think it's my internet. Is my internet having a problem or the
Whenever you
It's
connect
internet.
wirelessly, it's gonna be like that, man.
You got
Yeah.
that
You
Michael
need some
Blackston,
bandwidth.
that Michael Blackston.
You need some
That's the
bandwidth,
Michael
man.
Blackston shit.
You need at least
I'm
4G,
in California
man.
right
3G
now.
ain't
I
gonna
went
cut
from
it.
that. I went from Texas to California.
Why'd
I'm
you
in
do
California.
that?
I'm not in Dallas now.
Why'd you go? Why'd
No,
you
I
go to
traveled.
California from Dallas? Oh, wait. So you didn't move
No, I
to California,
traveled.
right?
I flew. Huh?
You didn't move to California,
No,
did
no,
you?
No, I didn't
Okay,
move. No, I
okay,
came in
good
last
job.
night. I'm
Andrea, will
leaving
you
tomorrow.
please
I'm
let
Gotcha.
flying back tomorrow.
Ikene get to the end of his
Gotcha.
sentence so we can get Mr.
Gotcha.
Bennett in here?
Yeah.
All right. My
So,
bad.
Let him
so
finish
what
his
I'm trying to say
sandwich.
is, right?
Wait,
But
hold
what
on,
we
man. We can't hear you, man. It's not working.
Ikene, we can't hear you, bro.
It's not working.
You sound like
Go ahead, Mr. Bennett.
R2D2.
We'll get back to you, man. Go out and come back.
He
Yeah,
does
go
sound
ahead
like
and come
R2D2.
back, man.
Is it better?
Go
No.
out and come back, man.
Is it better now?
No, it's borging. It's borging. Your internet is internet. It's not your sound itself. It's the internet. It's your connection.
Oh, the
The
internet is
bandwidth
back.
internet.
Okay,
you
let
need
me try to
connect
get
Wi-Fi
it. Let me
or
try to get a
man.
password here. Yeah, somebody else can go ahead and talk.
Right.
I'll talk later.
It's
Yeah,
amazing
let me
how
try
this
to
stuff
get.
start working when it's time to
Now
go.
sounds good. But will it stay?
Yeah.
Come on,
Come on here,
Everybody-
Mr. Bennett.
every 3 seconds.
Prototype.
Prototype.
Come on. Prototype. Come on.
Come on, Mr.
Everybody have
Bennett.
that
I think
moment.
well, first of all, I've been in and out because I had to rebuild this PC here, so I had to reinstall my Windows 11. So got that back up going. I heard a lot of back and forth. It seems like we've gone off of just the topic of just men and their mental health and do people care about. Now we're talking about more global societal issues or whatnot. So what portion of the conversation do you want me to comment on?
Well,
The
don't
most,
everybody
I think JT had a
no,
question.
no.
It's like what
So it's the
JT had a
most,
question in terms of what comes first: you either build a family or build a nation. But
Right.
there's something that says that you think global, but you act local. So the idea of the acting local, maybe what Prototype is saying is you build a family, but that's in anticipation that you're thinking globally, like how we're going to come out of this situation. So I don't think we can
Absolutely.
afford to ignore either one of those. But both things need to be done, the planning as well as the actual work on the ground. But I think we have to get to a point where we can, again, recognize that marriage has to become, again, a practical thing. I think the romanticism that marriage has become in this country through various means, through advertising, through media, through capitalism, I think capitalism has ultimately destroyed marriage. Because people stop thinking about the practical nature of simply meeting one another. And with the romanticism of instilling this dream about what it's supposed to be about this emotional thing. And I'm not saying avoid emotion, going back to the Stoicism conversation. I'm not saying emotion isn't valid, but people have to come to a point in mind to say, look, how can we make this thing work? Not going to be perfect for anyone. And can we even, as people, can we grow in this? I'm always talking about marriage as a path, as a journey, it's about growth. And can we grow there? But everybody wants the perfect situation. And if the person doesn't check off 10 out of 10 boxes, I'm out. If you see any signs that something might be there, I'm out. So no one wants to take risks. No one wants to invest in the institution because of personal risk and personal fear of, and no one wants to give up anything. So, I think that's going to be the hindrance of it. But to Prototype's point, it's still, I think, a major portion of the solution. And as far as all these other nations, if everyone's talking about the wealth gap or whatever, wealth is important. it's important to a point, but again, you have people in other countries who have less wealth, but they still prioritize marriage and family. And
Absolutely.
they're still able to come here and do well. So you talk about the Nigerian that comes over here, oftentimes they're highly educated and they have careers. But again, even those who are south of the border here, they come here impoverished, but they still have a better system. They have group housing. They live together. I mean, 3 and 4 generations in the same household. So it's really, I think, a lot of our problem is an American problem in terms of just our mindset, how the capitalist American mindset, but we were never necessarily in position to really able to use it. And so we're being affected by it. I think everyone's being affected by it. But again, as we always say, when someone else catches a cold, we catch the flu. So we're getting the negative from this. But I think it's an American problem because no one is really prospering the way they should be in this place. But we're at the bottom end of it, so we're always going to get the brunt.
You know what? I just thought about something you said, Mr. Bennett. I think we spend a lot of time on entertainment and not education. Not so much as a formal education, but ongoing education. It seems as if we're easily distracted, with all this other stuff. And when was the last time you sat down with your family for a whole entire day and you guys strategize on what you're going to do next? What's good for the family instead of just, pulling up the old hoodie and watching YouTube or whatever, a TikTok or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's doing something different. And the minds don't get a chance to come together. To speak to what Prototype says, that is how you build your family, spending that time getting to know them and say, hey, what is it that you like to do? And then, you figure out exactly what talent that person has and you figure out how to hone that into a skill. You see what I'm saying? And then from there, you nurture that skill and perhaps you can turn that into a business and you grow from there. But it isn't until you actually unplug and actually have fellowship like you should, then it's pretty much going to be stagnant. You can have a whole house full of people, but if everybody's on their cell phones, tablets, whatever, nobody's really connecting. What type of family is that? You just got a bunch of people in the house. You got a dormitory, and that's about it.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's simply stress and struggle that actually facilitates that conversation. I've literally, in the last couple of days, again, my youngest is 20, and this whole week we've been just dealing with just struggle, stress in school, job stress, health stress. And that's just called like everybody to the table. Look, we need to have a family conversation because again, everyone's in their world. Everyone's trying doing their thing. Hey, everything's great. Taking the Instagram photos or whatever. That's when stuff is going bad. And that might've been why we were able to pull it together in years past. Cause again, the struggle, I think someone said on a Tuesday night show, as a society develops and gets more, technically advanced or whatever, we lose that sense of struggle. And I think it's in the struggle, I think, is where people have to sit down and say, look, we need each other this time. Everyone's going through something. How can we pull together and get something work? But very rarely when things are prosperous or easy that people feel they need to do that. So again, it's got to hurt until people want to come together and say, hey, let's do something different here. Or, hey, what's on the table? But literally this week, I've just been putting out fires. Just all week. Talking about, our opinion, talk about being that covering. I've had to be cover. Not only for them, for my mother. I mean, it's just all over. But at the same time, that's when I find myself, that's when I excel. That's when I step up. And as far as self-image and whatnot, that also goes into my self-image, and that it's about overcoming situations and obstacles, not just dwelling that you have them. And that's what really makes a difference as well. So I think, it's going to have to get worse before it gets better. But I think it's in those times is when people finally say, okay, enough of this stuff. What do we got to do to get out of this? And that's when the ideas come. And that's when the, people are willing to work cooperatively. But it's got to get there first. And then, some people say we're already there, but it's got to get there.
We have to create the environment to do what you talk about. Like for my family, right? I do the Sunday dinners. I cook them. I bring the girls and they're women now, my wife around the table. Sometimes they bring friends and then we conversate. With my daughters in terms of their economics, every quarter we sit down and we talk. And, and sometimes I just grab my my youngest, since she's living here, she's 24, but I tell her, come sit down and we just, chop it up a little bit. Whatever the conversation is, I try to have her say, what do you want to talk about? How it's work? You know, all that kind of stuff, because she's still working. So we have to commit that. We have to create that environment to get the family closer by asking the question, how's things going? What's going on? Sometimes if you don't do that, people just pass each other, even in their own house, like ships in the night.
Yeah, you're right.
That whole dinner thing, for me, you know, when we were all in the formative years, everybody was going in different directions. And then we try to come back, you know, together when we come back from school or work, and everybody's doing that. So I said, well, let's go around the table. And since I know how to cook a little bit, so I just do that. And then we have that conversation. It's some habit that I wanted to make sure we get in. And hopefully that'll last when I'm gone, and they'll do that for their families and stuff of that nature. So
and that's a dope way to do it. Like I tell you though, there's nothing like crisis. crisis will definitely bring people to the table. You know what I mean? So this so happened to be a week where I had that, but that's where you show up.
Hope you got through it.
That
Yes,
or
sir.
some type of sense of urgency. You know, I'll give you an example. I watched Jeff Bezos build Amazon out of his garage in my lifetime. You see what I'm saying? And it's those opportunities that we have to look for. Now, that I will tell you that he did build Amazon at the beginning of the internet before it is what it is right now. And he got on that train and provided a service. And now watching him sell books out of his garage to having him to ship stuff through FedEx and UPS to now he has his own warehouses and his own vehicles. You see what I'm saying? It's those opportunities that we miss because we're not being inventive. You see what I'm saying? There's plenty of things that we can do. We just need to focus on something different. We have to be able to bring something different to the table. Jeff Bezos had his problem wasn't selling books. The problem that he saw was distribution. You know what I'm saying? Now he's probably bigger than FedEx, UPS, all of them combined, because they stopped sending stuff. It was like, hey man, you got too much stuff. Jeff Bezos was like, you know, don't worry about it. I build my own warehouses. You know, I got computers, I got people. Now I got trucks. You know what I'm saying? He went from having a little diesel trucks. Now they got these electric trucks. And then it got to the point where he was growing so fast, he had to hire local people with box trucks from Enterprise and loading them up. Now we got young cats now filling up trucks and delivering for Amazon. They making all kind of doggone money. You know, they're making 6 figures a month. But it's just those opportunities that we need to talk about, discuss, that we need to come together and say, hey, what problem is out there that needs to be solved, and can we solve it? You see what I'm saying? And the rest of this stuff will fix itself.
I think when you talk about Black community and like I'm trying to tell Prototype, money can never be separated from family, because money is one thing that glues family together. If you want to know how chaotic a family is, take away money. Just take away money. Then you see how chaotic a family can be. And if you want to know who is going to betray you in the family, it's got to be through money. Money brings loyalty from your woman to yourself, to you. You take away money, your woman become trashy. Money answereth all things. I'm sorry. Even the Bible, I'm not a Christian, but the Bible says the same thing. It says money answereth all things. You see what I'm saying, right?
Here's the thing. No, I don't know what you're saying, because I've read the Bible cover to cover a few times. I'd never read that part.
It's in there.
But the Bible says money. The Bible says money answereth all things. Just type it on your computer right now.
Money answers all things.
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay. Here's the thing. So money answers all things, but it's also the root of all evil. Oh,
wow. The love of money.
The love of money.
The love of money.
Okay. Here's the thing.
I just said it verbatim.
If your woman's not loyal to you without money, then that's not your woman. It never has been.
If you want to also know if your woman is going to be disloyal, take away money, and then you see how disloyal she can be. I'm sorry.
Look, when I had nothing, you know, my wife had no problem with sleeping on the floor with me when I had nothing.
But guess what?
Now she good. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not money.
Were you able to buy food in the house that time? Were you able to buy one or two things? Were you able to pay your rent then?
Barely. Back when I was making
But
$10 an hour.
But guess what? You were making $10 an hour. What about?
No, I said
but what
10.
about?
When I was
But
making
what about
10.
if you were? But what about if you were making zero?
When I was making zero, and I was
What
living in my
about-
grandma's basement, my wife was there.
Yeah, you were. But guess what? But there is something being provided in the house by somebody, right? Somebody's still providing the food. Somebody's providing the shelter. You got to see where I'm going. There is money in that house. That's why your woman is with you. There is money somehow in that house.
She with me because she loves me.
If,
Like, it don't got nothing to do
yeah,
with the
but
bread.
guess what? But guess what? If you're homeless and there is no money, you can't go beg for money, right?
You ever see
Then
that
you
guy?
s-
There's a guy on social media posting about how he lives in a storage unit, and he had a woman with him.
And guess what? They were going outside and they were begging. Money is coming in somehow.
Good
If you
Lord.
don't have if you you got to understand where I'm going. If you don't have money, you're gonna die in the next 2 weeks. Because guess what? You need food, right? You need food. You need to drink water. There is no place on this earth that you're not going to buy food. There is no place on this earth you're not going to buy water. So there got to be an exchange from you to get something to you, right? There is exchange from you to get something to you, meaning that you have to take money, you have to release money to get food. If you don't have money at all, either from people getting to you, either directly or indirectly to you, right? You can only live for 2 weeks and you're going to die. You will die. So money answereth all things.
So where we gonna get all this money from? We in America. Where
Money,
you gonna get all
Africa. He's trying to get us to send our money to Africa.
Do you
That's
think
what
it's
he's
more
trying to
being
do.
industrious? Because I think to me we're conflating being industrious, and I would say Prototype. The reason I would imagine is that he had some ability to earn, or the wealth was in who he was. Correct. He showed himself to be some of value. I'm assuming. I mean, I would assume, given the short time I've had a chance to speak with Prototype, he didn't give off the vibes as if he was not going to be something, and he had some industrious nature to sort of earn to be productive. That, I think, is the currency here. If you're poor, correct? Because money doesn't come out of the heavens. I mean, if it did, good God, I've been missing it this whole time.
Because bottom line for Prototype, number one, Prototype, you were lucky. Okay, this just is what it is. Number two, your woman trusted you. Like, she saw you for who you were. That's why she trusted you. She saw the kind of man you were, and she knew that, okay, we sleeping on the floor. He's not gonna let it stay like this, though. We ain't gonna be like this in 5-10 years. We ain't gonna be like this in 20 or 30 years. She knew that.
There was hope.
I wouldn't
There
say
was
she
hope.
did. Nah, I don't.
Okay, Prototype. Ask your wife. She trusted you even back then. She believed. Here's the thing.
Not that I was going to be anything like I am now.
No. I'm not saying
she didn't have to.
She didn't have to.
I could have just been a warehouse worker, and she would have been just happy with me.
There is something coming in. That's what I keep saying. There is something. There is something coming in.
It's not a monetary. Her love for me, her loyalty for me is there's nothing monetary about it.
But look at it this way. Let's just put it this way. As Black people, right, we have to become industrious like anybody, like white people. Let me say this. We used to be more industrious like them. We built Egypt. We built cities in the deserts. That's what we built. But for the past 1,000 years, guess what we did? We became comfortable. We became comfortable because of all the things we had. Where are we from? Africa can make you lazy in those years because Africa had everything. So because the mother of invention is what? Necessity, right? Necessity is the mother of invention. So we were living comfortably until somebody that didn't have anything showed up and they took from us. They found out that we were strong. They took us with it. They didn't just take our resource, they took us as a resource too. But what I'm going to say is this, right? We have to start making ourselves uncomfortable. in the US. Yes, love United States. You don't need to leave this country, but go somewhere else and take something and bring it here. Just like people are taking from here to there. America, I gotta say this. I tell people all the time that instead of the white America to give black people reparation, right? All Democrat white will vote Republican. They will never, in their mind, in their right mind, give black people reparation because they know what is going to happen. You're going to have 20 black Wall Street in this country, and they're not going to tolerate that. Even the Jewish people will not let that happen because you're taking the greatest thing that they have out of their hand, music and movies. You take that two out of their hands. Now you're coming to take real estate out of their hands. Now you want to take hedge fund out of their hands. Now you want to take sports out of their hands. Now you want to go to Africa and start taking diamond out of their hands, gold out of their hands, oil and gas out of their hands. They're going to fight back. But guess what? We should be ready for that fight.
Well, we're not going to be. Well, we're not going to be Ikene. Okay, like I told you.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to.
The good. It's because Black Americans have given up. We've conceded.
We shouldn't.
That is right, man, bro. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, Mandre got it right. I'm sorry.
You haven't, but maybe Grant, maybe you haven't. Our pain, Trayford, we haven't given up. But as a whole, yes, we've conceded. We've given up, dude. Here's it. Okay, I would like to hear you prove me wrong when you listen to not only the youth but people of our age. I'm 45 years old. Okay, people of my age, Gen X and younger. You've given up. And the boomers, they're done. Number one, boomers are doing one of two things. They either run the country or they're retired. One of the two.
Okay.
Because the boomers are because in politics, there are no Gen Xers there. Not really. You got Gavin Newsom over in California and they hate him. Okay. The rest of them are boomers, dude. They run this country still. Okay. So my thing is this. No. It's time for us to face facts, gentlemen. We really have given up. It's the fact as a culture. I'm not including Africans, I'm not including anyone, whose culture is not from here. African Americans gave up. We're not getting the 40 acres and a mule, okay? Even though America owes it to us, and they owe us a lot more than that. They're never going to pay what they owe because they can't afford to. And they can
let me say something.
Hold on. And they can get away with, hold on. They can get away with. Okay, no one's trying. Not enough. There's not enough of us who give a shit to make a difference. There simply isn't, and we're getting fewer and fewer by the number by the day. Okay. I haven't, like I said, our pain. I haven't given up. You haven't. People on this panel, we haven't, and probably
I'm on a borderline
too.
I'm on a borderline.
And there's a lot of people. There's not enough of us who care to make a difference. Now, Nigeria is doing their thing with industry. But again, your leadership. Come on, fellas. No, it ain't.
Let me pick on. Hold on. Let me pick on it because I remember, Mandra, you had a show last year. We talking about the two in Black Wall Street that have taken place. One in Arkansas, one in Tennessee.
The two Black Wall Street. It currently today.
And what you broke down about it, I had to agree with you because yes, we have a group of people who are trying to bring back Black Wall Street, but at the same time, in present time, even though they can't do their very best, it's being shown, which Kennedy do have a point, that they don't want that to be an existing thing. Because the moment they say that you're doing great, somehow, we need to take over that city. You cannot regulate, but we don't trust you. But we had by YouTube in that particular town for so long, and they're gone. Now they fixed the city. Now they want to come back and take over. Wow, why that should be a case? So when I'm living in New York City and I see the community that migrate among themselves, there was a time Staten Island was mostly for the Italian before they moved to New Jersey because of the Russian. But what I've seen a lot is when it comes to Black community, a very small, minute people want to do something great, but when you want to do something great, either you're called a sellout or your own people turn against you, even though you're trying to build something that's permanent for them. And I've seen that a lot. And I hate to say this, Kevin said something about this, the brain drain that been taking place. It has been going on for more than 2 decades in this country. I was telling people there's a tale of two Black America. Yeah, there are small, quiet Black Wall Street town that's not being made mention because, for some fact, they didn't want the trashy Black side of their community to join in and sabotage what they're trying to build quietly. And that has been going on for a while. And what's sad about it is that if you're trying to bridge the gap between both sides, it's not going to work because, for the fact, I said it quick to clear. It's a flex to people to be dumb and stupid, but it's not a flex to be educated and driven to build something. But I don't comprehend that. I've been in the country for more than 30 years, and I'm watching it. I'm seeing it play before my eye in the shadow, and I'm saying, what is making the people to do these things to just sabotage themselves? Literally, we had William Martin talk about how Black people is helping Tubi with his own Black Wood of Madoff to save himself from the lawsuit that he was dealing with. But not Willow, when it comes to build our own thing, no one wants to do it. But if you see someone build something, the fuck you gonna do? You're gonna attack him. Oh, he's a sellout. Oh, he did. Oh, he that. Why not build your own? Nobody wants to build nothing. Everybody wants them to be handed to them. A lot of people don't want to put in the work. But when someone put in the work and try and bring people along, the first thing I see people do, and I have to be brutally honest, your own people are quick to tear you down and look for any fault on you just to say you're not good enough. But if for the white counterpart, they'll just butcher and say, oh, I like their products. But they don't like you. They don't want you to buy that product, but you still go and buy it anyway. You still support that business anyway. And you wonder why you sit at the bottom of the, and I try not to lose my mind. I said, there's had to be something psychological that's holding people back from being great. It's as if they don't want to be great at all.
No,
And that one bugs the hell out of me. I want my Black people to be great, but
no, but this is the thing, y'all. This is what we have to understand. We have been divided, man, since the 70s and 80s. Let me tell you the reason why I say this. You have your conscious people, right? Pro-Blacks. Remember, it's only been 3 years since they've been when we kicked their ass off the goddamn internet. They still doing their little thing. But before then, who was these motherfuckers talking about doing? Eating sea moss, drinking a bunch of fucking water, and the white man got his foot on your neck. They was not talking about
everything in.
Hey, mute. But what we've been having is pro-Blacks versus regular Blacks. Remember, we had Black people that was shaming other Black people for wanting to be a part of America, right? We had two different Black people. We had the ones that were saying that we need to have our own military. So they got these little groups, Black Panthers and other groups that branched off for Black Panthers and shit like that, because they were talking about building a community, right, locally. And then they was going to take this shit nationally. That shit didn't work. You had motherfuckers that was being infiltrated by FBI, CIA, and gang members. Then you had the other ones that came out and they were talking about, they were telling Black folks that you ain't gonna never make it as long as you living in America, right? They were, I don't know what you call them. They were just defeatist motherfuckers. This is people that were telling their people in when you was in the family and you was going to college, you had uncles and aunties telling you that you think you better than everybody because you want to take your ass to college and shit. We've been divided for a very long time, folks. Then we've been in our own fucking way. You had people that were trying to be progressive, but they called you an Uncle Tom. They called you a sellout. They called you, what's the other word that they use now? And I can't believe people are still using this stupid ass word, coon. This is the shit that we are separating ourselves. We have great ideals.
Don't forget Peppy White Boy.
Don't
forget Peppy White Boy. That's another one.
Yeah, but even when you talk about that, I'm just talking about us, right? Us. Every time we have someone in a group of people that try to progress, there's another group that shame them by progressing in America. You had people that was in America that said, you know what? We here now. Why not just take this shit and make it our own? You had your own family members telling you that you was a fucking sellout because you wanted to be a part of the economic system. You a sellout because you want to be a part of the system that governs the United States. They telling you a fucking sellout while they're the same ones that's telling you a sellout. They're going along with the same bullshit. We separated ourselves while still blaming it on the boogeyman, white supremacy, while blaming it on, racism. Give me a fucking name. We at this point now. Name some people now. They can't name no people now. They can't even name what white supremacy even look like. They can't name what racism look like. But they tell you that's what's holding us down. Somebody just mentioned it. The defeatist attitude, I've heard it all my damn life. I'm talking about being progressive. But you always got to have somebody to sit back and say, yeah, but you got it, man. They ain't going to let us do nothing. Y'all heard that before. They ain't going to let us do shit here while still staying here. 60 fucking years old and you still talking about what they ain't going to let us do. But you ain't got your ass up and moved nowhere. You ain't went, somebody already said it, you ain't went 50 miles radius from where the fuck you was born at. You ain't never even got out the limits of your damn city while still telling the younger folks that they ain't gonna do it because they, whoever the fuck they is, ain't gonna let us do shit. Fuck all that shit what they all talking about. That's why when we have these conversations, I can't look at y'all brothers and say what y'all saying is absolutely wrong and all of that shit. No, that's an idea that we need to probably instill in the next generation. What we say, community, local, right? National, international. If we ain't doing those three things, man, we gonna always be behind the power curve. Always. And I
JT, here's my thing, man. We got to stop listening to folks who ain't built shit. We got to stop being intimidated by those who don't build anything. People who shame you ain't never built nothing. So why even listen to them? What you're gonna have to do is get around movers and shakers, and y'all shake it out. Because the minute they'll sit up there and tell you you're a sellout, those are the main ones who will ask you, hey, let me hold something. Ignore them. And when they ask you to hold something, now I'm going to show you how I got it. Roll your sleeves up. Let's go to work. You see what I'm saying? Don't listen to those people. Get around people who actually want to do the work and drown everybody else out. That's my thing, man. Don't listen to the ones who say it can't be done. Just go do it. Just go do it.
Thanks.
I gotta say this.
At least you know that you failed. At least you know that you failed.
Try,
ain't nobody telling you that you're gonna fail.
Don't
That's
nothing be
bullshit.
fail. You better try, baby.
But this is what I'm going to say to you guys, please. And if I say this, let us all work with it. If you guys can agree with me, we all as Black people have to start working together, irrespective of where you are, irrespective of your continent, irrespective of your of even if you're in America or nothing. Because I gotta tell you this, right? This is what makes us, guys, Black people love division among each other so much it disturbs me. If United States wants to do something, Europe is not left behind. They call it the West. The West. And they all move together as one.
No.
Every white person in every continent sees himself as the West. Even though he's not in the West, he still calls himself the West. White people in South Africa call themselves the West. White people in Nigeria, they're about 2% of Nigerian population or 1%. They call themselves the West. So why would you in America not recognize yourself as Southwest? For God's sake. Yes, be the West, but also remember that you're also South.
But
Yeah, call yourself
but
Southwest.
Ekanay,
Let me just say this, Ekanay. Let me just say this. The white people in the West are only congruent with each other when their best interests align. Other than that, they kill each other in groves. Okay.
I was just about to. That's what I was about to say.
Let's stop that, right? And
but let's look for something that is that unites us.
Let me finish. Let me just finish. Black people, whether we're not monolithic, what we need to do, whether we say you got to work together, we need to really stop working against each other. That's the big issue, because this whole notion of working together and having someone hive mind, that's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But
you got to point them out.
We can make a decision not to work against each other. Okay, I let it there.
No. This is the thing. What you're saying. You're right on point. That's what I was going to say. Most of these, when you talk about these people, Ekanay, let me tell you what they're willing to do: have a civil war, separate the bullshit. We are so connected to everybody. Everything is inclusive. This is the reason why those people that you mentioned, they were willing to have some form of a civil war, some form of separation. That's where we're not willing to do. We're not willing to have that, because once we do have that, then guess what? Now we can work. The group would be a lot smaller, but now we can do some work now. But as long as we keep having these undesirables connected to us, guess why they're connected to us? Because most of them are connected by blood.
But we having the war. We're fighting war. We're fighting war now.
Right,
we're fighting war.
But they're living in the same house. They're living in the same apartment. They're going to the same schools. They're doing the same shit. This is the reason why we have these problems. We're not willing to separate. We're not willing to do the operation. Get rid of the cancer. And that's what's really holding us back.
But don't you think we need less, like, the separation? I mean, I would just correct one thing. White people aren't rich. Only 1% of white people are rich. Like only 5%. Like West Virginia exists with all white people, and it's a horrible state. It's poverty stacked on poverty, stacked on meth, stacked on poverty, stacked on meth, with more meth and a little more meth. Correct? And again, we are giving whiteness this notion that it just comes with all of these provisions. The supremacy part is that they assume that this is where they go, correct? They assume that that's their birthright. The notion that they should have something and that the Negroes have taken it from them, or the lesbians, or whatever sort of boogeyman they come up with. But that's their default position, correct?
Right.
But that's what's been fed to them.
Yeah,
and that's the strat. That was the Southern strategy. That was all these strategies.
Yes,
to make these people think
the greatest lie ever told is
even in West Virginia, they're still better than us.
I agree.
Even though you're not going to get
ever told is at least you're not an N-word, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I want us to unpack that, because we keep saying, all of us, correct? We need to brag everyone up. I do think that we can fantasize about the American capitalism in a way that says we can be Jeff Bezos, and I'm not ragging on the example, but what you notice is that countries that do well, or societies that do well, they don't. Celebrating the person who gets all of the wealth seems problematic, because it leaves a whole floor of people who are scraping. And so we have to get out of the notion that billionaires are as this thing that you want, when you can. It's a lottery, correct? And if everyone is striving for the one tip of the pyramid, there's only room for 1 or 100, correct, or 1,000.
Oh, you sound like
7 billion people in the world. And so a better distribution of understanding how wealth actually works. And when I say wealth, I'm not talking. We've got to get out this idea that I'm the CEO of my company, which is correct. You see some people like, I'm an entrepreneur. No, you have a wig shop and it doesn't do very well. You should just call yourself
Make
bankrupt.
$100 a month.
Right? You just go ahead and just call yourself bankrupt. There's no reason to pretend you're an entrepreneur. You're really working in a business that doesn't perform well. And there's 18 of you guys doing it, which makes no sense. You're not even diversifying your own economy. But the point I'm making is we have to stop thinking about whiteness being this sort of piece that they're all doing well. White men and white women, but white men in particular, have the foot of capitalism on the back of their neck. But they're just happy that they have their foot on the back of our neck. It's kind of fun, correct? Or their knee, George Floyd.
Well, that's a Trump. That's a Trump right there.
And so you end up with this point. And so I want to make the point is, yes, they're going to be in our houses. These are the people that we're going to deal with. But the pressure comes out of the reason that they feel so enraged is that they notice that the people are doing well and they're wondering why and how do I get there? But you take whiteness as a whole. Whiteness was only exclusive to a very narrow band of what we would consider the so-called whites today. It didn't include Italians, it didn't include the Irish, it didn't include anyone in the Eastern European.
Yep.
Over time, segments of those groups have slowly moved into their whiteness as they moved up economically. And so they left still a whole host of them who are hoping one day they can be white, although they have all the physical characteristics of being white. They have none of the inferred sort of wealth that comes with it, hence why West Virginia exists. And so we have to think about, for African Americans, how do we think about this, let's say this group of people, and I think Ikene brought it up very well. If he's creating wealth and there's 10 people that create wealth from him and then 10 more that can create wealth off of that. And again, we're not talking about just becoming a billionaire tomorrow. We're saying the people who are in your house who are trying to pull you down, get rid of them, correct? You're not going to have to deal with them because they're going to either jump on board with what you're trying to do, or they're not going to be a part of your magic train. And so we've got to get out of saying we're this sort of monolith that's we're going to gather everyone together. We're going to have everyone sitting in the center of the city and going, Black people unite, and we can create, economic Voltron. That is a very sort of oddity. And so we have to get away from the notion that all white people are doing well. We have to remember the vast majority of white people are doing horrible. And that you only assume whiteness is great is because the good white people are doing well. And they've hidden the undesirables, correct? That is correct. Everyone talks about India having a caste system. America has a very similar caste system. And as much as we like to think went from white to black, it was white people, and then black people. And then sometimes we'll find that there are some indigenous people hanging out somewhere and we put them on a reservation. I just want to make sure we're centering ourselves not in a notion that whiteness is this perception of wealth or that it's an embodiment of wealth, but really wealth can be created by African Americans.
Yes.
I agree. Can I say that? Hold on. I'll make something real short and real quick. Can I say instead of trying to build a community, they're trying to build a tribe going forward, because when you're trying to build a community, it's like wasting your time. But when you build a tribe, you only pull the people along who think the same way you think, and able to work together in that particular mindset. Because where I look at it right now, when you're trying to build a community, it's like you're dragging a huge truckload of weight on your shoulder for no apparent reason. Instead of me dragging that much weight, I just rather leave it behind and bring along people who think alike like I do, and build a tribe of people who not going to pull me down, but in case I slip, they're like, nah, I'm not letting you follow. You keep going with me. It's like bring your own platoon. Manjo understand it very, very well. JT understand. Those who in the military understand very super well. When you're in the military, you don't leave none of the platoon members behind. You drag them all together. You know, if you're going to reclaim, you deal with that one. I think that's the only way you can go forward. Other than that, forget trying to bring everybody along with you. Everybody not gonna think when you think. Everybody not gonna be as hungry as you are. Only take those willing to work with you to go to that next level.
Tribes are made up of families.
Pretty much. But I ain't trying to build a community. I'm trying to build a tribe.
So CBN, do you think for Nigerians and I'm are you which tribe are you? If I'm not, I hope I'm not.
I'm from the Yoruba tribe.
Yoruba, okay. But do you think it's more social pressure, correct? And so it's sort of sitting there. And so instead of you having to drag someone, they're sort of noticing the boats leaving without them. And so they're chasing you. Because I think I would imagine, and having known a good number of Nigerians, at least in my personal life, it's almost both spoken and unspoken, correct? And so the path you're going, and so jumping, if you're jumping off the program, correct? It's your default on the program, correct? And it's through some, what I would just call indoctrination, which is great, being inculcated with ideas or ideals that are palatable to being successful. It would be like parents who read to their children are more likely to be readers. It's not a very hard thing. If you don't read to your child, they're not going to. You don't have to sit down with your kid and say, "You're going to learn to read today." You read to your kid; they're over time will read well, correct? Or generally speaking, they'll read well. And
How
so
would I
my
say
point
this?
is it because you're inculcating young minds with a framework, correct, early on? And so once you get to the age of sort of decision making, you begin to notice what I would call the in-out group sort of dynamics. If the in group, correct, if the in group is success, or you have to become a doctor, a lawyer, or be going to business, you're dragging people along because they want to be part of this in group, what is a preferred in group, which would be success. And being out in the out group leaves you almost naked, correct? It leaves you outside of your community. And so it's actual sort of social death for you. And I think that's a good pressure to have on anyone, because ultimately, this is how I imagine how it works in Nigerian family, generally speaking. Obviously, I don't know as detailed, but I think that is the pressure that's happening, that you don't have to tell someone you're going to be left behind. They almost intuitively know, given their surroundings, and they conform.
Put it this way. Let me say it this way. In America, right, in order to answer to you, then CBN can finalize it. America has what we call vertical responsibility. In Nigeria, is vertical and horizontal, meaning that you as a man, when you already been begotten by your parents, right? Your parents will train you to be somebody. They choose, sometimes, most cases, they will choose your profession for you. It's not like America where you have choice. In fact, they beat you into your profession, like slap you, whoop you into that profession. So you become a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer. But when you're being groomed, right, this is what your parents do. They tell you, remember, you have brothers, you have sisters. So it's your responsibility, especially if you're the first child, it's your responsibility to take care of your siblings. But also, don't forget, it's your responsibility to also take care of your parents. So they're giving you to give back tomorrow. It's not that when your parents finish taking care of you, then you run away and you're gone. No. You're going to be an outcast. So yes, there is pressure. The pressure is for you to succeed. But your siblings also, they're being told to also follow you and succeed. Because if they don't succeed, there's a problem.
So
they're going to be left behind.
So Ikene, go ahead and tie your final thoughts in there. We're gonna go with you. And then
actually, that's my final thoughts. That's my final thoughts.
Okay. So
my final thought is this: what he's saying is, this is my final thought. I'll add to it. What he's saying totally correct. The problem is, this is your thing. It's never going to be the firstborn on the family. When you're the firstborn, all that weight is on your shoulder to the day you're born to the day you die, and that is what it is. Because if you fail, everybody will know it. The second or third or fourth-born fail, it not be much of a big deal. When the first-born fail, it be nothing but huge shame. So this is why I say what I say. It's not simple as an African male being the first child of a family to quit or to bail out. It's not trying to find that exact word, but it's like a taboo. It's embedded in us for a reason. That is why we say our last name means something to us. You're the head of the house, you're the head of that lady, you're the head of that thing, the next head. So you look at Japanese or any other Asian creed, they have that same mentality too. When you're the first child, you're the next head of that thing, you're the leader of that head. If you fail, all the heat is on you. Not on the second born, not on the third born, not on the fourth born. It falls on you. No matter where you go, you'll be that curse. You'll be the black sheep. This is why, as African men, we have no choice but to put ourselves through all the pain and maybe be successful regardless of the pressure we've been put through. But even when we become successful, the weight do comes off. but still, you cannot quit. You gotta keep on pushing. That's all I gotta say.
All right, Trey Ferg, go ahead. Let's get with you.
Man, ain't nobody trying to hear that shit. That's the response you get from American. That's the response you get from American black people. That's the response you get.
You too deep, man. You too deep. Man.
Right. Here's the thing. I agree with every word he just said. But like I said, not enough of us to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Trey Ferg, what you got, brother?
Man, I seem to be a little bit more confused than when I started in this thing, because I assumed that, all of those three dynamics could work together. But I've heard kick them out the house, and if you got family members that ain't living up to your speed, just get them out there in the woods and let them just scrap and do all that. And I do believe, brother, he just left. Who's that just left?
A prototype.
Yeah, I think
prototype
fellas, this is our discussions. What we talking about, we don't have, and what we trying to get. I thought, as far as a man, a lot of our men are not married, and all of my men don't have children. I think that everybody wanted to build a legacy at some point. You building your legacy right now. You over rocking the baby right now. And you ain't gonna throw that baby out. That baby decide that they wasn't want to be a ruckus out there. You can be like, not my baby. My baby gonna be right here. And I think just living in America, you see that dynamic where we lost 30 years of that. Our race was pretty good. I'll take 50% over 35, 40% any day. I'll take that as far as marriages and things like that. It's always been a 50-50 gamble, from what I understand. But in our communities, we were, people were married and thriving when they were able to build wealth when they got married. Grandmama and grandpa made $30,000 between the two of them, and they bought a duplex and housed the whole family. We don't want to be independent and go sell grandmama's duplex off for $40,000 because we didn't want to pay $2,000 in taxes. Now we bought a new car that's breaking down now, and you see how the economy. I want to know where we're going to get this money at. Where we're going to get all this money to change it. And without us working together, the husband, the wife, the brother, the daughter, the big guy, us as black men, light skin, dark skin, 20-year-olds and 50-year-olds, we have to find a way to fight it together. We all complain together. Everybody complain together. So what we're gonna do is to change the dynamic for our future. If you got children, 18, 19, 20 grade, come out, man, you worrying about their future. How's it gonna be a future if we like, well, it's over. It's over for you. That same dude you tell it's over with, I swear, you be wary, because they be the same one breaking in your house when it hit the fan. Like I said, if it's only a few of us that's ready, it's a lot of them that ain't, and it's a lot of them that's gonna be hungry. You don't want to face a band. You don't want to face a band of 6'4" brothers running up in your house. No, you don't. And they're gonna get your daughters and sons. So I'm saying we all need each other. Whether that happen or not, I think we'll thrive better, especially men in this space right now. If we go into this next election, I don't care what state you in, and we just stand in unity on whatever it is that we demand, regardless. It doesn't matter. Just because you live in Tennessee, I don't have to be, and I'm living in another state, doesn't mean that if you want to go right and I go left, that we got to fight our way. No. Okay, I'll see you when we get there. You protect the right, I'll protect the left. Let's get to the end goal as a unit. And I hear brothers say what I say all the time. We always come back to, well, get out, do your thing, figure it out, explore it. That's all I say. When I'm talking to grown men, I assume that we know, but when I'm talking to young boys, it's about you cannot avoid certain steps. In America, Grant, I'm gonna ask you this question. Did you grow up in America? This is my last thing. You grew up in America, right? What options, as far as when you come out of high school, what options do you have to live, I guess, to go into manhood? What are your employment options or ways to make money? It's only a few in America.
There's only a few in America, you said?
Yeah, it's only a few.
I think there's a multitude. There's a ton to make money.
You go to college, you go to military, you learn a skill trade, whether it's culinary through whatever Or you this new one, the entrepreneur. Like you just said, people got all these entrepreneurs, but they're not making money. And one, as far as us, we focus on trying to make money with us. That's the problem. We try to focus on other races, focus on making money across the world. Why not go to Africa or go to Indonesia, where they making all these Nikes and all this stuff that we buying for $500 for a belt? Why not go over there and invest? Travel around the world now. The world is opening up. It's not going to be the same in 10 years. Guys in the military know this. So that's why they can say, I can travel. I'm going to do this because they've seen it. In America, when these wars are over, a lot of those people are going to come here and get these nice apartments that Black people only dream of and look at. And they're going to get these houses that we don't even qualify as far as credit and income. So we got to find a way to get it together. So, that's my final thought. I'm going to fight. I believe that we can get it together at some point. I know you crack era adults, y'all don't have no hope in it because y'all been fighting all your life. Just step back. When you're ready to find that woman, find her, whether she's 4 foot tall, 2 or 6 foot 2. Find a woman that fits your program. Other than that, you still got to protect yourself. You still got to eat. So,
all right. All right, Trey Ferg, that's what's up. Mandrell, go ahead, and then Arpane after Mandrell.
All right, Black people, save yourself. I'm talking about as individuals because we ain't coming together to do shit. It's a fact. It's hard to hear. It hurts. I know. I understand. I did my job and I still do it. I still tell people about stuff. And as far as how to make money, who is that? Trey Ferg? Trey Ferg, there are tons and tons. I personally have 4 revenue streams myself. They're pretty much automated now. I invest like 4 hours a week into them. And you wouldn't believe how much money they bring you in a piece. It's retarded. It really is. Yeah, it's like that. It's way too easy to make money. It's too much low-hanging fruit out here for you to be broke. It's just a lack of knowledge. Can we do it? Yeah, we could. If number one, we have to want to. Number one, we have to want to. Number two, we have to be motivated. You know what I'm saying? We have to be motivated to. You know what I'm saying? It's just none of that is there. Again, there's not enough of us to make a difference, who care enough to make a difference. Simply isn't. And the design was there. The design's still there, but they don't need a design anymore. We're doing it to ourselves willingly. That's what I mean by we gave up. We listen to trash music. We watch trash television. We don't study. We don't do things like work on self-improvement. By and large, we do not. But here's the thing with the Nigerians. I talk my shit about Africa, the continent, because it is a shit continent. But the people are willing, Nigerians, the Africans, they're willing to come to this country and take advantage of opportunities. And they're willing to work hard. They're willing to do what it takes to be a success. And then they go back and they get their families and teach them to do the same thing and get their families to be, their family members to be successful. You know what I mean? One hand washes the other and both hands wash the face. I can't blame them for that and I can't hate. That's what they're supposed to do. So why should I feel sorry for my own people when we can do the same thing, but we just choose not to? Now, again, I get it. You know, a lot of us don't even know that that's a thing here. And that's what I mean by the Africans. Y'all don't really have a thing to say if you're not from this country. You can't talk about Black people because you didn't live through the pain. You didn't go through the pains and the hardships that we did. You didn't go through all the bullshit that we did to put us in this position. This shit was done to us. Is it on autopilot? Is it all on us now? Yeah, but make no mistake. This was done to us. We didn't do it to ourselves. Now we are. But I mean, that damage is done. It was shit. Mission accomplished on that front, destroying the Black community. Joe Biden helped in a huge way. In fact, he is the one who single-handedly absolutely destroyed the Black community with 2 bills he wrote: the crack laws of the 80s and the 94 crime bill. Fuck him forever. That's why I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for Trump either. I voted third party. So, you know, my thing is that, you know, like I said, I talk my stuff about Africans. Most of it's tongue in cheek. It's just jokes and everything. Salute to them. They're willing to do what it takes to be a success. I can't hit on that, and none of you can. You can't talk about foreigners coming over this country, taking your benefits, this and the other. If they're your benefits, that you really feel, go apply for them. Go get them, because it's out there. Go to the internet and figure out other ways. There's ways to make $40 every half hour, just sitting at your computer. Just sitting at your computer and translating shit. On weekends, ain't got shit to do, I do it. When I ain't got nothing to do, I just sit there and translate stuff. I mean, $40 every half hour. Now imagine if I took that as a full-time job. 6 days a week. $40 every half hour. Stop playing. That's $80 an hour. What are you doing, people? There's way too much low-hanging fruit. And there's people who make YouTube videos showing you how to do it. You don't look for these things to be successful. You don't want to be successful. We don't want it, JT. We don't want it. That's the only feasible answer. We don't want to. Shout out to the two gentlemen here, Ikene and Canadian-born Nigerian, Black David, for coming up here and giving their insight. I fuck with you, Ikene. It's like I said, it's tongue in cheek, but I can't disagree with you. You know what I'm saying? He's got a point. I mean, like the other brother said, nuclear families, we need that. But again, you got to want to do that too. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to make nuclear families. You got women who are proud to be single mothers, want to be single mothers. They desire that. Mm-hmm. You got brothers out here, they're okay with paying child support. They're okay with not taking care of the kids. They don't know what it is to take care of a kid. They don't know what it is to be a husband or a man. No one's teaching them. That's part of the problem. We're almost as uneducated as we were 60 years ago under Jim Crow. And information is limitless. And it's in the palm of your motherfucking hands. So I don't feel sorry for you. I never will. Go fuck yourself for being poor. If you're in America, seriously, you're poor, go fuck yourself.
Right.
That's my final thought.
My man, R Payne is in the bill to go here. R Payne.
So let me. You listen. I defy any of you guys to put a stopwatch on me and shit. All right. After all these long soliloquies, all right, because I get that shit all the time. But I'm gonna be real short. I agree with a lot of what Mandrell says. I think that I do agree with Prototype that the nuclear family, monogamy, and will start to help build civilizations. What I don't agree with is that we had a 30% marriage rate right now. It's 30%. That's statistically still significant. Can it change the world? No, because it can't save the other 70%. However, you could build upon that. Right? And that's each one teach one. If you're teaching your kids the right things. Now, let's just say 50% of the people are actually teaching their kids the right things. It could create a nucleus. The one thing I think is that we'll differ on what we say to them. I don't think that Black men who are getting on their square need to ever concern themselves with finding a Black wife to have Black children. They should just find a woman that satisfies and wants to get on their program, and who wants to be married, who wants to be somewhat traditional, and then if she's working and you're working, then you compromise on how you want to keep your house up. And that's what you need to do. You can't convince anybody to do the things you want them to do, and we need to stop the bullshit, right? You can't make a woman want to change her mind. You can't make a man want to change his mind. There's got to be two people who decide to move in the same direction. And that's all you can do. And that's where we are now. So I think, and I said this before, in the next 150 to 100 years, this whole thing we call African American may all be gone. Maybe 150 years, because it's whoever the puppet masters were, they got it to where we're on autopilot right now. This whole war that we have with our women, back when I was younger, we used to love each other. In the span of 40 years, we end up hating each other because we act like we can't even communicate. And I hear some of the shit that people are saying about each other. I don't see there's no path forward. from trying to fix it. So I just think that every man should just try to get on this square, learn how to make some money. And I agree. If you're in America and you can't be self-sustaining, that's your fault. You could educate yourself. There's a lot of men these days who don't go to college because they don't see the worth in getting into that kind of debt. So they'll get certificates for things like HVAC and electrician and stuff like that. And we need to stop belittling them. But guess who does? A lot of Black women, right? Because they don't go to college, right? So they don't need to start to ignore that and still go ahead and get those certificates, make your money, and find a woman who doesn't mind being married to a plumber, who doesn't mind being married to a bus driver or a policeman or somebody does that kind of stuff because you make a good living, So you kind stop thinking about the Ebony K. Williams of the world and all those kind of women and just kind of move in the circles that you need to move in to build families. And I think you need to do that. So I don't want to get away from that. So, but this whole notion that I'm a Black man, I got to have a Black woman. First of all, I believe that interfaith and interracial and all that kind of marriage is not only evolutionary, it's inevitable. That's what I believe. Just give it time. And, so if you can find a sister, great. But don't lose sleep over that shit. Don't, I just don't think you should. Anyway, I'll land it there.
For sure.
By the way, I got one more thing. Monday, I'll be talking about there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. And the only way masculinity is toxic is when women yield it because they don't know what the hell they're doing with it.
Amen. Amen.
So that's going to be the topic. So,
Mr. Bennett,
try to make that.
Mr. Bennett, you get my message, Mr. Bennett? It works. Believe it works.
All right. So
like I said, I don't get this, Arpain. How you broke today? How? Seriously, like if I'm not with my lady, and it's a weekend, I ain't got shit to do. I just sit here. I watch YouTube videos, and I'm sitting here translating shit using Google Translate, and I average about $40-$45 every half hour.
That's because you have people that just not tapped into it, bro. They trying to get the bag. They're trying to find where the bag is.
There's people who make YouTube videos showing you different side hustles and different ways to do it. Yeah, it's just like yo, this stuff is
first, Mandrell, we got to teach our kids first and foremost how to be able to multiply and do regular arithmetic and geography, and we got to teach them shit like that because they ain't got it. They don't have it. They don't have it. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about it later because we got to get Grant and Mr. Bennett gonna close it off.
Yeah, we do. But
so go ahead, Grant, and then Mr. Bennett, you follow him right up after that, bro.
Once again, thanks a lot for having me on. I always appreciate the conversation. I just want to touch on how we started the conversation about how are you doing, young men, and men in general. I would just implore anyone, if you're struggling with life, struggling with your life, struggling with the day-to-day, find someone you trust and you can talk to. I think growing up and in storing that anger, storing your frustration, it doesn't help you. It only harms you. It restricts you from being successful. It restricts you from being the kind of citizen and the kind of person, the kind of father, the kind of parent that you want to be in this world. And I think it helps unleash the person you want to be. And so I would implore anyone who's struggling with that to seek out someone they trust. And if you're not someone who's struggling, be the open door to someone you see is struggling, and do not take their confidence in telling you for granted. And I think it will give more men the ability to go and talk to another man when they're struggling. And I think that's an important thing that I think hopefully we can all do. And I know a lot of guys here on the panel, are mentors, and I think that's great. But I still want to make sure that we're all continuously, thinking about how do we help in that way. So I just want to implore and make sure these young men have avenues to discuss, real issues. And I think cultivating a world in which men can feel vulnerable and without losing themselves, I think is important. Because they might find out a lot of things that they don't understand about how they're feeling, why they're feeling the way they feel, as well as getting the tools on how to fix the problems that are causing their distress, which is the most important. And so I think, if anything, I hope a lot of the young men walk away with that information, and they can use it in their day-to-day lives.
Well, first of all, Brother Trey, I was struck with streaming when I first got on. I didn't get a chance to offer my personal condolences to you on the loss of your father. But I, heard what you did, and I'm sure he's very proud of the man that you've become, in spite of everything. And just praying for you and your family that you guys go stronger because of this. So I just want to give my personal condolences on that. Grant, this might have been the first time I've actually seen you on the platform, but I appreciate your insights, and I think you're a very thoughtful man, thoughtful brother, and I appreciated what you had to say. So definitely looking forward to sharing the platform with you in future shows. And just as a plug, I just want you to look at this tapestry here, what you're seeing here, of these bold, beautiful, benevolent bald brothers of the BMU network. So we're actually starting a movement here where, as you can see, all this beautiful baldness here, you're more than welcome to join our cause and our movement. All right. So I'm the president, I'm the local president on the BMU network. So I just want to give that out to you also. But in regards to the topic tonight, really, and I think, Grant, I think you shared a lot of what I was going to say, but really, I think a lot of this was illustrated in what CBN and Ekene were talking about. And what happens in Nigerian culture, I think, has pretty much happened in all cultures for most of human history. This idea of the responsibilities that men have, that the responsibilities that they have to shoulder. And in those situations and families, no one is checking on your mental state to ask the question, how are you doing? That's not a question that's asked because it's what's expected. And I think in the last few years, I think people are starting to ask themselves, well, how's that working for people? Because that kind of situation, it'll either make you as a man, it'll break you as a man. And having that societal pressure, having that family pressure on you, and no one's checking on you, that can be very detrimental. And even some of the guys I know at CBN, I know he's shared just some of the strain that can put on someone with those. Yes, he understands it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's right. And a lot of times we look at things, well, that's just how it is, where we come from. But, we all need to be, we can all be critical of our own cultures and backgrounds and whatnot. We don't just have to necessarily accept that's what it is. So when people are asking, how are men doing? I think I think in a lot of ways, this is a good time because men are finally getting a chance to express themselves when the world, for the most part, hasn't given them the opportunity to do so. So I think certainly having these types of spaces where we can listen and have men come together and share. And I still think in a lot of these spaces, I think men talking to men, I think that's really where it's at. Again, trying to talk to women or have women or expecting women to be that for us. Yes, to be our helpmeets and whatnot. But, putting all that weight on them to say, okay, well, you must help me get through whatever it is. You need to find it where you find it. And also, I think when you're actually doing, I know Clement Gray, he was asking me some questions while you guys were talking about, because again, I've had to be that person to step in and be there for other people who supports you when you are struggling, when you're low. And again, there have been times when I've gotten low, but there's always been somebody. One of those people is when I used to go to the barber in my follicle days. When I used to go to my barber, he's got about a 75-year-old barber who was also a preacher. And a lot of times in the barbershop, you just let stuff out. And there have been times when the cut stopped and he just laid hands on me and just prayed for me in that situation. And that's what I needed. And I've gotten that kind of support from various people who just come into my life. I'm a spiritual person. I believe when you're sowing, God gives you back. And so I don't necessarily have a go-to that I just call to flesh out my problems or to vent to, but when I needed it, the person always showed up. especially when I was about to either go into something or do something that was a situation that I'm the youngest of my family, but there came a point where I had to be the leader in my whole family. I'm the youngest of 5, and I had to be the leader. And I didn't think I was ready for that. But the right people showed up at the right time to say, yeah, you're ready for this. And that's what I needed in that time to help me get through that situation, to be a better version of myself in this time. So I think winning, overcoming, you know, we're not promised happiness in this world. You know, you're going to be struggle streaming for the rest of your life. But it's about how you overcome those things, how you grow stronger through it. It's just like exercise. You get stronger as you go through exercise, and you're ready to lift heavier weights and strong, you know, more difficult tasks as you go along. And I think that certainly does a lot when you be stacking those victories up. You can look back and see where you were and the type of man that you are now. I think that does a lot to say, hey, you might not have had the easiest life, but looking back, there's a lot of people who couldn't do what you just did. And so victory, winning in all aspects of your life, getting from one step to another, going from low class to middle class to upper, you know, whatever it is, but just keeping on that mode, just keeping it moving. I think it's one of the best therapies, at least it's been for me. And I can look back at a lot of guys. I started in the last lane, but I passed a lot of people, and I'll continue to pass people, because with each struggle that I've had, I've gotten better and stronger through it, and always tried to make myself available to those who, as LaBelle was just saying, trying to, you know, encourage other people. Because again, when you pour out, I do believe in getting back. I do believe in that sowing and reaping in that regard. So, you know, but again, good conversations tonight, guys. Thank you for leading it. Thank you for everybody who's willing to be vulnerable in these spaces. I think that's certainly something that's very unique about what we're building in this space here. Brothers are willing to be vulnerable and said, hey, we're not trying to present or image or cap or anything like that. We're just trying to be real about who we are, what we've come from, what we've overcome, and where we're going. And I think if we can continue to provide that kind of environment where people can see us, and then what's really cool is like when people from these streams reach out to you personally, either in your IG or your email or whatever, and say, hey, can we have a conversation? Can I reach out and talk to you? And I think that's what we can build in this space. We have this platform, but then the one-to-one mentoring and the, you know, just being able to make ourselves available to people, I think is really going to help a lot of people. Again, can't save the world, but the area of influence, the sphere of influence that you can build, that you can develop, that's enough. And, you know, with that, you know, I close out with my final thoughts. Thank you.
Mr. Trey, my condolences to you, please, Mr. Trey. My condolences to you.
Same here, man. My condolences, man. It's almost been a year since I lost my father. And man,
me too. I lost my dad a year ago.
Oh wow!
So my condolences to you and your family, bro.
I lost mine a decade ago, and last year I lost my mom. So I got no parents right now. So
yeah,
I lost my mom. I lost my mom almost 19 years ago. Lost my dad on the 5th of January last year. So I know what you're going through, Mr. Trey.
Yeah.
I know what you're going through.
I appreciate that from all y'all, man. You know, again, man, you know, even y'all mentioning y'all losses, man. You know, we're gonna do this. That's why I say we're gonna do this, man. We're gonna be stoic when we need to be stoic. We're gonna laugh and we're gonna get up some stuff. What our parents say, we need to get that too. But I'm just, when I speak in these terms, I speak to the younger guys, man. You know, us old heads, we done went through all that. Younger guy, this is your greatest time ever. It's all I got, man. This is your greatest time. Go do the damn thing. We did it. That's why we up here talking. So go do the damn thing. Tell us y'all stories.
All right, man. And with that said, listen, any man that's listening to us, man, and you are watching this panel, you can reach out to a lot of these brothers that's up here, man. We've all talked to one another at some time, man, off camera and everything, man. So don't think that you're just by yourself. I always look at this as a foundation for us to do better as men, especially black men in America, man, we are always striving to be better people, and we want to be able to get a better community. So we have to have these conversations. These are tough conversations, but we really, really need to have these conversations, man. And I appreciate every brother, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, bro. Every one of you guys, even the ones that already done left, I really appreciate you guys for your contribution, coming up here and giving us some real conversation and giving us something that we can take back with us where we can apply it. My man Hink was up here earlier, man. That's a really, really good brother. We had the Greek Freak up here. Matter of fact, Mr. Bennett, go ahead and plug you and oh boys. Is it tomorrow that you guys will be on? Or
It's
Sunday?
Sunday
Sunday.
at 9:30. Myself and Grooming Reviews, we get together to have a conversation talking about the gray area where you have this black ADOS man and this Greek immigrant, and we have a conversation about common subjects that are, we're going to be talking about marriage, as a matter of fact, this Sunday, and just could share from cultural perspective, looking for the gray area, the common threads that bind us. Yes, we're different, but there's always these common threads that bind us. So we had a successful show talking about our schooling and what we got from that. So there's going to be just a series of shows on Sunday nights where we, we explore our personal backgrounds and come to that common ground and understanding. So it's not about who had it worse or who had it better. It's just about guys just trying to find the humanity in that gray area. So looking forward to another show. And again, thanks for all the support and thanks for all the comments from the first show. And we're just looking to get better at this as we go along.
Absolutely.
And
then Monday. Go ahead, bro.
On my show, I'm going to be starting a show on my show that is going to be discussing about business only. It's a business and politics matter, and also how to encourage Black people to diversify their voting. But we have to start donating to campaigns. We got to start donating to people's campaigns. You're not going to say, oh, this Black folk is a sellout, this one is a sellout. He went to Congress, he didn't do anything, but you didn't give them any money. So who has the money has the power. If white folks are giving them money, why they're going to be doing the white folks business, right? So that's what I'm going to be discussing: business, investment, politics, and campaign.
Okay, so when do you know when exactly you're going to be starting your show, man?
I'm going to start it I'm thinking about by towards the end of the month, but it's going to be mostly on a Tuesday. But possibly this coming Tuesday will be the first time I'm going to be doing it. Although I've done it before. CBN has come to my show a couple of times. But, because of all my business interests that I've been doing for the past few months, so it kind of took my time away. But I want to be doing it every Tuesday, just once a week, until election day.
Okay, so we got to make sure that we get your link in and the times that you're going to be doing it. So if you're gonna be doing it consistently
every Tuesday, except when I'm out of the country, then I might do it maybe on my cell phone.
Okay, absolutely. So we're definitely going to plug that. And also on Monday, we also have Arpay, the Boomer. That's go ahead and plug it yourself, man. You don't need me to say it.
CBN got it. Yeah, CBN got it.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, on Monday we'll be talking about, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. It's one of the first videos I ever did on my channel. But I'm gonna update it because I do believe that there is toxic masculinity out there, but it's only when women wield it, as far as I'm concerned. But toxicity is a character flaw. It's not a natural. So I got a couple examples. I got a few videos that we're going to show, and we'll just go from there, just chop it up, whoever comes around, so.
Thanks.
Yeah, and we will be doing another episode of Men Drill and Shoot Shoot pretty soon. Again, so JT can just stop.
We ain't even worried about that.
With my time spot, JT, he can just stop.
So what we got Tuesday, Talk That Talk Tuesday, where you have a panel of prestigious people, pretty much is who you see on here. Plus we have the ladies that'll be on here also on Talk That Talk Tuesdays. Also, Black Man Unfiltered himself, he would definitely be on there. And on Wednesday we got 1 and 1 with the two brothers, along with Mr. Bennett, Trey Ferg. Is it anybody else that's on that too?
Every so
Shawnee,
often,
Shawnee.
talk about the sports thing.
Yeah.
On Wednesdays. Yeah. So my Dante, Shawnee, Trey, and myself. So it's the Ball brothers against those Texas boys.
Yeah.
So we like to gang up. And our pain, he'll be coming in also. So
Every so often when I get the link, I'll pop in there.
Oh, awesome! I'll make sure you get it. So, we'll dominate. We'll dominate it again. They already heard anyway because the Cowboys lost. So
y'all do understand. Y'all do understand that what I predicted last year is coming true. Y'all do understand that, right? Y'all understand?
The Lions are alive.
People don't
alive, Cat.
People don't want to. I already said it, and I already told the folks. Y'all still doubting me, huh? Y'all still doubting me? All right, we just got to show you what pride is all about.
I think it's the Washington Ravens. I think it's the Baltimore Ravens, man. Super Bowl.
Okay.
Baltimore Ravens.
All right.
Okay. On Wednesday is at 7:30 Eastern, correct?
Say that again.
Mm-hmm.
What time is it?
7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, and then following right after that at 9:30 it'll be myself, JT. I done took over Mandrill and shoes.
You done took over Mandrill
until Mandrill comes.
Well, of course.
Wednesdays are wild, man. Real.
At 6 o'clock on Wednesday, you guys can come over to my sports show before the other one, you know?
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Hey, Ferg comes over
6 o'clock. I'm just getting on. I'll be in the car still. I'm just getting in.
That's
what happens. These retired guys.
I think it's only like an hour.
But see, you retired guys. You guys just throw stuff on in the afternoon. Like,
look, hey, Mr. Bennett, we still out
there. You're still out here grinding, man. What's a break?
Yeah. Yes, sir. But on Thursdays, y'all.
Conflict with the 7:30 one, so I got to get mine over with before that.
That's what's up. But on Thursday, we also have Get Your Mind Right with Dr. Nakumbe and Coach K. And man, they have some really deep stuff, man. It's funny because when you bring yourself on over there, you mess around over there, and then start getting in your mind now.
Oh yeah,
you get on that panel if you want to.
I'll be texting Mandrill sometimes. So like, he about to do it to him. Whoever's got to do it, he about to do him. It's like so we just sit back and wait.
Yeah, the Doc is so animated, man. I love hearing the Doc speak because he'll catch you off balance, man, because he'll be talking very monotone for a minute, and next thing you know, here come the theatrics, and he got you like, and now he got you at church. Now he gonna have you confessing, you know. But the next day would be Friday, and that would be what we're doing right now, the barbershop.
Barbershop talk.
You got the men out here doing that now. The week before, y'all already, man, that barbershop, we had the ladies up there. And that barbershop got a little deep right there. That barbershop got a little deep right there, man. But you don't know which
we got to do that sparingly. You gotta do
that man.
Because I mean, because the ladies don't come up there with all that crying and all that shit.
But it was something that probably was just needed, man. But look,
was it though?
Unfiltered. It was something that was needed because they back cool again. It wasn't. If you would have seen at 6 o'clock in the morning, my girl, Take Heed to the Message, was on fire. So they needed to talk. They needed to get it together and get back on it.
Who needed to talk?
No, she was on. I'm saying she couldn't sleep. She got up. What she Take Heed to the Message she comes on, I think, at 9 o'clock, something like that. It's early in the morning. She was on fire, man. But you know, she back good again.
Then
So yeah,
on
and then
Saturday,
Saturday. Hold on. I missed Saturday. Saturday is
Mrs. Jenny.
Miss Jenny. I
Miss
think that's
Jenny.
like once
Miss-
a month. I think she does it every weekend or once a
She
month.
does
I
it.
think
She
she
just
said
said
that
she
I
does
think
it
it's
once a
once-
month. Okay, so
Yeah.
once a month. But yeah, when
But
she
she's
Miss
more
Jenny,
going to be more part of the Tuesday show. She said she'll be more joining that panel.
yeah, Miss
Tuesday.
Jenny will have you upset if you ain't ready for her. She always smiling. She talks very direct and very matter of fact. And once you get her to talking, she will have you hot. I done seen her on all kind of panels, man, and she still got that smile on her face, making everybody mad at her. So shout out to Miss Jenny, man.
Yeah,
Shout
but
out to
JT, let's not give the woman too much credit. Now she's debating with simpletons.
What?
No. I've seen her. I've seen her
Lord.
talk to some people that was very
No,
level-headed.
No, you didn't.
And
No, you didn't. Yeah, here's the thing: you give these morons on these panels too much credit. I'm not. I'm not impressed.
Mandrell.
And I'm no longer entertained by it.
Look, that's all you gotta do is tell Mandrell to hush. She'll be all right.
No, and
He'll
I'm
be
no
all
longer
right.
entertained by it. Like this whole thing, man. It's like, yeah, this is nowhere.
We gotta have a conversation, Mandrell. You can't mute people anymore. We ain't doing that. You sound
never did that.
like a Me Too. You sound like you coming from Me Too right now.
No, I don't. What I'm saying is, these brothers on these panels, they're saying that they're not doing the job.
All right, then guess what we have to do? We have to move them to the side with our intellect. That's how we do it.
They should be fired.
That's exactly how we do it. Yeah. But all right, y'all, let's go ahead.
All right, man. Good night, gentlemen.
And get us some sleep, man. Y'all have a great time.
Good night,
especially
guys.
on Sundays, looking at the Lions beat Tampa Bay. And who else getting beat down? Who else getting beat down, Mr. Bennett?
The Lions are not beating
got a
Tampa
couple.
Bay.
All right.
The
Okay.
Lions are going to beat the Tampa Bears.
Nah.
Baltimore, I know Baltimore's kind of hot right
No,
now.
not the Ravens.
I mean,
Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl.
Buffalo's kind of
Baltimore
hot.
is that's that
Yeah.
team. Yes.
The Ravens going to the
But,
Super Bowl.
We going to the Super Bowl.
I hope
baby?
so, but
Yeah.
Buffalo's kind of hot.
All right,
The
man.
Ravens are.
Later, guys.
Y'all take it easy.
Okay.
Peace sign. CMB, do you got it already? You gonna take
Yeah,
me
that
out?
guy-
or you
that
want me
guy-
to take it out?
That guy is doing great. What's his name? What's his name? The Buffalo Bill guy that had the situation with his girlfriend. You know, that guy. What's his name? Vaughn. Actually,
Vaughn Miller.
Vaughn is my customer for my transportation. His girlfriend. I've driven his girlfriend, Megan.
Mhm.
Megan, right? I've driven Megan no less than 10 times.
Oh.
This guy, I have a guy that he and I does we own transportation business together. He has his company, I have my company, so he contracts me sometimes as a
Don't give
transportation
away too much,
contractor.
Eddie. You're gonna be
So,
calling. You're gonna be
yeah.
on the witness stand.
Hey, can I?
No, I never witnessed anything,
They're
but
gonna call
you know, cool guys. Yeah.
Wait, so
But
you say
that's
you're
crazy.
sleeping in your car? So look, they'll be calling.
No,
you.
but
You're gonna get
nothing
that
ever
summons.
happened. No.
You're gonna get subpoenaed.
Never.
Keep silent. Hush.
All right, y'all.
Thank you.
Peace out, man.
Good night.
Yeah, good night, guys.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute. Work hard for the car, so that's why it's all tinted. Wait a minute. Had a real late night, woke up with my head spinning out Nashville. It's been mad real. I need sunglasses, I need Advil. I like fake moves and my cash real. I like first place, you're in last still. Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.
Look, pocket rocket in my pocket, please don't make me pop it. All these boys just wanna copy the style, tell them niggas stop it. Whoa, it's my destiny, feeling like Latoya, like it found me my Beyonce, and she shotgun in the cockpit. Grinding with the team, making C-notes. In my pocket still full of green, call it CeeLo. Alligator watch on me, Tim Tebow. And these haters love to watch me like Tebow. Look, I don't take L's, I just learn a lesson. Before I count the M's, always count my blessings. Look, I'm too short, never second guessing. Got some money, put up for the rain, so I'm never stressing.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles.